was a gun.
I'm not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Be like
forward.
a horse with blinkers on.
Honestly say, I was about to have
Corrupt
sex and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
I'm Bongolwethu Sonti. I'm 26 years old and I'm from Cape Town, South Africa.
My name's Aisha Barense and I'm from Cape Town, South Africa.
I'm Claire Gamble. I'm 28 and I'm coming from Cape Town, South Africa.
My name is Tifla. I'm from Cape Town, KTC. I'm 27. Yeah.
I'm Kobane Jombile and I'm 28 years old.
My name is Zidungile. I'm 27 and I'm from the Eastern Cape in Umtata. I think our government doesn't really care. You know, it is secretly pointing a middle finger up to us every time. You know what I mean? And it's blindfolding us in the sense that you'd have these ministerial functions or these government functions that cost a lot of money, and that money could have easily gone into the schooling infrastructure. It could have gone to running water for people. It would have gone to bettering the lives of ordinary South Africans. Yes, we need to equip ourselves. However, how then do you equip yourself when you are facing the issue of not having access to water, not having access to electricity, not having access to education, and not even having access to food? How then do you prioritize on scale when you have all those other problems?
I'm at college at the moment, and I think that it is so essential to have extra classes and tutoring. And funny enough, we're not. There's none of that basically. Go to college, get your work, kind of robotic lifestyle, and there's no that extra kick. I don't feel that we're motivated strong enough. We've got brilliant teachers and lecturers, but it's just that like everyone else has said over here, there's that background where people are going home, there's no food, there's no electricity, there's none of the essentials to keep your mind and your soul like literally running and feeling hungry enough to want to excel in your academic life. And having a tutor for a couple of hours could land up 100 Rand an hour or 50 Rand an hour. We don't know. It's quite expensive, in other words. And that's just basically the downfall in our youth right now. And then there's so much, I wouldn't say like that there's peer pressure, but there is a lot of distractions, and that I'd say comes from, again, the background and the society and places people live that could easily get them soaked up in the wrong things, and that kind of just throws you off guard from your goal.
I was born in a township, Port Elizabeth in Motherwell, and immediately when some sort of transformation in life came, the mindset was the township will drag you down, get out. And what Aisha is talking about is something that sadly I see every single day. When I go to a school, I get told about, oh no, this program is not going well at the school because there's gangsterism, there's this and there's this and there's this. And I come back to town and I meet someone who comes from that community and they tell me, yeah, I grew up there. But there's no one who then decides to say, look, I've kind of made something of myself now. I'm going to try and mentor a few people. And those are the other small gaps that I think we fall short of as individuals or youth who are in these platforms, who are privileged enough to sort of go through all that hardship and then burst that bubble. So it also falls on our laps that a lot of the times we then take this privilege that we've got and we keep it to ourselves. We don't want to mentor, and when we go into mentor, we mentor because there's an incentive, because we have an NPO, we want to make money, or because we have a business, we want to make money. So it's quite a difficult thing as well. And I think we should not shy away from that fact, and we should always hold ourselves accountable to that we're really not doing justice to our own communities. And that's why there are a lot of failings as well on the ground. Yeah.
Also, I feel like bad things happen because good people do nothing about them. You know what I mean? Because we're sitting here and we know where the problem is. You know, kudos to you, my brother, because you're doing something about that, and most of you activators. So I think the reason why our societies are such in a bad condition is because the people who are formidable to do something good about it are not doing anything about it. Because as you mentioned, we only want to do stuff if there's an incentive connected to it. I remember with the issue of mentorship that you're speaking about, some people really don't have access to these opportunities. And I come from the rural areas. So mine is to say, since I've been exposed to a position, or rather to a space where I know that there's more, I've tasted more, I've seen more, it is then my duty to go back and say to those who are willing, because I can't drag people out of their comfort zone and they're happy to be where they are. It's my duty to go back and say, listen here, there's another world out there, there's another way of thinking out there, there's another way of doing things, and these are the processes that you need to follow. And sadly enough, sometimes if those processes are mostly connected to funding, it's usually a dead end, you know, in most cases, and that's the reality. And it goes back again to how do we then equip ourselves. And I feel strongly with the fact that if we could get a kick, you know, just a starting lump sum to say, listen, with this you can start, either be it transferable in skill, be it interpreted through mentorship. It does not necessarily have to be in rand value, but just a kick. Because everyone needs shoulders of giants upon whom they can stand on, you know what I mean? So that you can better be able to face the world, I believe.
So I like what you guys are saying. My question is, why do we have to leave our communities? Why do we have to, like, why does everybody have to jump on the train and rush into town every morning for a job? Why is it that we have to burst that bubble? Why is it that we have to leave the rural areas? Why can't communities everywhere in South Africa be self-sustaining? Why do we have to go into the metros for work, for resources? Why can't there be, you know, like, look at the townships, there's ShopRite, you have Checkers, you have all of these corporate structures that are sitting making money that's being made outside of that community, instead of people making money in their community, people creating money in their community, and then people sharing the money in that community. We shouldn't have to, you know, and again, it comes back to resources and equipping ourselves, but every community should be able to have those resources. And it would also, you know, I just think it would alleviate that the movement that people have to go across certain communities. Not saying that we need to stay in our communities, but we should be able to have everything that we need in those spaces. Rural areas should be able to be, you know, equipped with water, equipped with sanitation, equipped with schools, equipped with creative spaces, with parks, with sports, so that we don't have to leave our communities and forget about the people that we've left behind. We can stay and mentor people there.
I think, you know, to answer, you know, your question, that goes straight to classism, you know, and controlling spaces and actually centralization of resources, you know. So if we have Muizenberg, and Muizenberg has the sea and everything, so we build, you know, a lot of stuff around, you know, Muizenberg. So everyone from Fishhook, blah, 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 and neighboring comes to Muizenberg. And then we create, you know, this, you know, hub for ourselves to enrich ourselves. That's going to make people to come to us, you know. For an example, there's a mall in Gooks. There's no shopping center in Manenberg. So people from Manenberg go to Gooks or go to Vanguard Mall.
Right.
So there's no mall in Manenberg. So that's kind of like, you know, centralization of resources. So people have to go to certain spaces for stuff. And also it speaks well to classism, to manage class.
But let's break that. There's also a sea by Khayelitsha. Why is there no beach there?
If
you know,
you-
like let's break that. I understand the structural and the systemic planning of apartheid. Like, we are divided by roads, the N2, you know, the sanitate. We are divided physically. That was very intentional. But let's break that. Let's create.
You know, we can.
I don't know. I don't have it.
It's also like I think I'm in a place where I'm like, it's nice to be idealistic, because that's an ideal. Like, let's not go out of our communities, but the reality is that this is where we are, and we're making best of what we do. And it also cannot be the responsibility of the oppressed to reimagine a non-oppressive world. Like, it's too much.
Oppressed?
It's too much of a burden. It's too much of a burden to put on people who are really trying to make ends meet, who are really trying to meet their basic needs, to now have to reimagine. Like, it's too much to expect. Not saying that it's impossible, but it's too much to expect. I just feel like that, and it is hard. It's not something that, let's just simply break it. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, and it's not just the people of that particular community's responsibility as well. There's a lot of stakeholders who should also want the same thing, and we should work towards that.
And it's very simplistic to imagine.
Yeah.
But so what do we do? Like, what do we do?
It's also because I wouldn't For instance, we also have this mentality where I would rather pay 18 Rand return to come into the city to buy 150 Rand book by Maya Angelou than buy Zilungile's book for the same 150 who lives in my community. So we don't control what we are told to consume. That's another factor. But it's not also impossible because there's Chisanabanye, which is a community in Cape Town that it was previously an army base. They're a very poor community. They have nothing. They live in shacks. But that community is producing produce that then goes through also the Philippi farms. They both supply different markets around the city. And they've done that. They've been able to do that with very minimal resources. The same thing goes, there's a cooperative called Neighborhood Farm run by Justin Bonello. It's basically a group of farmers in Norduk who supply their communities with all their needs. So people don't need to go into town to find different small things. The thing is, when we look at centralization and bringing things back into our communities, we look too big. We imagine that my house is going to turn into an Edgar's because I can knit. No. It starts with the basics. If, for instance, I know in the Eastern Cape, I have a small farm that produces cows or whatever, in my backyard, I can then have maybe 2 or 3 cows, maybe not, maybe I can. I can then turn that into something for my community. If I know that I have a small little patch in my garden and I have 3 neighbors who I see every single day, they're struggling because they have to go to ShopRite, buy cabbages for 15 Rand, and it's only 7 days old or 2 weeks old, then I turn that into something valuable. And that's the problem, because we are told that we have to consume these large amounts of things. We don't see that there are small gaps that we can do. So yeah, that's just my view.
Well, I feel like we have, as a nation, we are really doing well in making the small steps towards change. The small, they call it the habits of the heart. We are really adopting those small habits of the heart. However, there's still a bigger gap, an even huger gap. For instance, with the land issue, right? We're all screaming, want the land back, plus the oceans, plus the mountains and everything else. But anyway, is our government really equipping us so that we are better able to handle the land that we'll have? For instance, if maybe you'll have a lot of hectares of land returned to you, and you're not equipped in farming or in agriculture, or you're not even well versed in farm gate prices and produce and crop and all that stuff, obviously the land brought back to you will be wasted time. It will be a waste, actually. You know what I mean? So in giving back the land, there must be skills initiatives as well. And such skills sometimes you don't get from your neighbor next door. Such skills are tailor-made. They're patent skills that need to be administered by people who are learned and well-versed in them. You know, I understand that really we need to equip ourselves as small communities so that we better ourselves. But my question is, in the story that you were sharing recently, if in that community those people, they're really equipping themselves, why are they still living in shacks? Why? You know,
Because they're renting the land from the South African Defence Force.
yeah. So there's no knowledge that they are given that they could actually own that land as opposed to renting that land. You know what I mean? It goes back to the skills that really need to be dispersed to the people that really need them, because they've shown the initiative to trade, but they need to be better trained in that. You know.
My dream is to have the position that I gain in terms of being a leader of the nation and the continent, to lead young people into the next chapter of their lives and have young people fulfilling their potential.
My dream. I think that's a very tough question because I have many. But what I look forward to in life is just to be, well established and living life comfortably and feel that I'm safe, I'm healthy, and that the future's bright.
I think my dream is to live my life according to my truth and knowing exactly who I am, because if I know who I am and what I believe in, then I can live authentically, and just to make an impact, and in any way, big or small, just to leave a legacy in my life.
My dream is to be as good as a person that my dog already thinks that I am, So, yeah, that's just to be as good as a person and flourish in life,
Besides having land and being a white male, my dream is to live my truth as well, to travel. Yes, it's to travel and make a difference somehow.
I love art. So my dream is to see artists, including myself, having a self-sustained career. You know, not having artists die poor, not having artists have handouts when they die or when they are sick. My dream is to make sure that you artists in this country are financially stable through their work.